The cities in China are structured differently based on size and levels of importance. For example, in Shanghai, there are actually 19 municipalities, each of which has their own mayor, and that they report into the mayor of Shanghai overall. The mayor of Shanghai is much more akin to, for example, the premier of Ontario than a regular mayor. So by understanding the different levels of government in China, you're better able to make strategic decisions about your business, what you want it to be and how you want it to evolve.
For the first 30 years of China's reform and opening period that started about almost 30 years ago, the focus of the economic model was really on promoting exports and investment in fixed assets and infrastructure. China's moving away from that model. It served it well, but it is a model that's slowing and unsustainable for the long term. The policymakers in Beijing are moving the economy towards one focused more on consumption and services, and one that has a higher degree of environmental sustainability.
In China, the east of the country is more industrialized, and this is where a lot of the bigger cities lie. The west, much less so. And in China, there are different tiers of city. Most people think that they want to do business in the tier 1 cities, which include Guangzhou, Shanghai, and Beijing. It's important to note that there are wonderful opportunities for people from Ontario to do business in cities in China that aren't in the east and aren't in tier 1 cities. It's a question of doing the right research, getting the right advice, and being open to opportunities.
Outbound investment from Chinese companies is historically focused on the resources sector, particularly from a Canadian perspective. But along with the changes that are happening in the Chinese economy itself, we're also seeing a pretty significant change in the scope of sectors in which Chinese investment is made in Canada, and particularly in Ontario, where the focus has really increased to include investment in the technology sector, very broadly defined. And we're advising on a number of transactions where Chinese investors are making investments in a range of Ontario companies, from startups to more mature companies, in order to leverage those investments to access advanced technologies.
In China, relationships are critically important, but sometimes the notion of guanxi, which is the idea of personal relationships and their importance, is a little bit overdone. What's really the most important in doing business in China, just as doing business anywhere else, is to follow the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated, and if you do that, the results are usually really, really good.